Hey guys, welcome back to Goofy Wrestling Bullshit, where we remember sometimes wrestling is goofy and sometimes it's bullshit. But more importantly, welcome back to Nirvana's fantasy booking. See, it's a combination of two things. One, because I'm about to relieve the internet's tension a little bit, even though they don't deserve it, because y'all in the internet wrestling community are the lowest form of intelligence and have the intelligence of snails. Secondly, I'm doing you a favor in hopes of getting the few people that are actually smart to actually watch this video and actually learn a thing or two. And three, I'm about to tell you why Becky Lynch's win in 4 seconds actually set up something bigger last night, but y'all are blind to seeing it. As you know, let's set the scene. Becky Lynch came back last night at SummerSlam to a huge pop as a fill-in, seeing that Sasha Banks didn't wrestle Bianca Belair last night. Again, WWE knew this 8 days in advance that the match was not going to happen here. And they brought out poor Carmella to just stand there and look pretty. But after Becky challenged Bianca for the SmackDown Women's Championship and Bianca accepted a punch and a finishing move later, the title was switched. Many people are comparing this to Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston on the first Fox Friday Night SmackDown. It is not that. So here's where the fantasy booking comes in. I am going to help you. Even though you don't deserve it, I am going to help you and explain the next 6 months of WWE programming to you, or some facsimile of it. And I'm going to tell you why they're not only going to hold off on this match last night, they're going to hold off on this match a couple more times before finally delivering it to you at WrestleMania with much bigger stakes. So, so let's get down to it. Branching off of last night, you know, Bianca Belair is going to go through a rematch at Extreme Rules, most notably to lose to Becky. Now, keep in mind the WWE draft is scheduled for October. During this draft, Bianca Belair will be drafted to Raw. This is a very important point. Sasha Banks will remain on SmackDown as par. Becky Lynch will continue to run the roost as the SmackDown Women's Champion, with Sasha unable to win the belt from her even on an occasion or two. Meanwhile, on Raw, Bianca Belair will have to reestablish herself, taking on the women of the division, first beating Rhea Ripley, then beating Nikki Ash, and then ultimately running straight into another four horsewoman. That would be Charlotte, our current Raw Women's Champion after last night. Bianca Belair will beat Charlotte, more appropriately, at the Royal Rumble. Meanwhile, Sasha Banks will enter the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble. But also, in a shock return, Bayley will make her return to the ring as a Royal Rumble entrant, probably number 30. But the thing you must note here is that Sasha Banks will win the 2022 Royal Rumble. Charlotte will end up losing to Bianca Belair and ultimately winning the Raw Women's Championship. However, as per the rules, Sasha Banks should be able to challenge for any championship she wants. The natural thought is she'll try and attempt to challenge Becky again, only to be interrupted and convinced by Bianca Belair to finally redo the rematch at WrestleMania 38. This is, of course, in front of a crowd of nearly 93,000 plus in Dallas, in Austin, Texas, at Jerry World. Now, again, they'll try to tease the rematch one more time before this at the Survivor Series by pseudo-booking Sasha and Charlotte on opposite teams. But they'll never really run into each other. They'll give you a tease of the possible match, but not the delivery. They're fooling you again. They'll even tease you at the Royal Rumble by having Bianca come out and try to tease Sasha unsuccessfully even. But that won't work. It is only when this Royal Rumble win creates the rematch. Now, in my best case scenario, thus the fantasy part of this booking, I would have both of these women have both of the titles and unify the titles. But that's asking for too much. Instead, this will be Bianca Belair challenging Sasha. Now, the funny thing is, they could make it a unification match in this situation, or they could not have it clearly be for just the Raw strap, not to leave SmackDown stranded or anything. But by and large, Bianca Belair will win the rematch. Or not. In fact, that's the fun of where you come in. Given my scenario that I just laid out to you in just 7 minutes' time, who would you coin flip to win the inevitable rematch? And yes, by the way, the core of the storyline is simply that in order to get the rematch with Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair will have to go through all four of the horsewomen: Becky, Bayley, Charlotte, and ultimately Sasha to get back to the top. This is a form of long-term storytelling that has magically come up because of possibly COVID. I'm just gonna throw that out there that maybe she tested positive for COVID and the reason she hasn't been able to wrestle in 2 weeks is because of the required 2-week quarantine. That's just me just throwing out a smart idea. But anyway, the match will finally happen at WrestleMania with the winner to be determined. But now that I've laid down the scenario, what do you think about it? Is this scenario plausible? And if you do believe in this scenario, does it help improve your thoughts on what happened last night? Because ultimately, I think this is a combination of Becky was going to win it anyway. Fox wants her as the champion because she's the bigger draw. Yes, networks are the true runners of the WWE now. And also to halt the big money rematch. If you agree with that, leave it down in the comments below or leave it in my Twitter at Nirvana Sparkle. Until next time, I am Nirvana Sparkle. Wrestling is goofy, and unlike what most of the stupid wrestling internet will try to tell you about last night, none of last night was bullshit. That was an A- show. But until next time.